The night the little boy knocked on his door, the snow was falling so hard it erased the world beyond the porch light, and something in the child's eyes told him this was not just another winter emergency, but the kind that would change lives forever. The boy stood there trembling, jacket too thin, cheeks raw from the cold, clutching a crumpled paper, with an address smeared by melting snow. His lips were blue, but his fear burned brighter than the storm, and in that moment, the single father understood that whatever warmth he offered tonight would not be enough to protect this child from what had already happened. Before the story pulls you deeper into this night of fear, hope, and unexpected courage, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet bravery of ordinary people who choose to help when it matters most. The man who opened the door was a single dad named Aaron, a warehouse worker whose life had been narrowed down to survival ever since his wife passed away years earlier. His world revolved around his young daughter, their small rented house, and the endless balance between exhaustion and responsibility. He had learned to live with loneliness, to fold it neatly into the corners of his days, but he had never learned how to turn away a child in distress. As the snow howled behind the boy, Aaron ushered him inside, wrapped him in a blanket, and listened as the pieces of the story came together not through words spoken aloud, but through the shaking hands, the tears that wouldn't stop, and the desperate way the boy kept looking toward the door, as if expecting his mother to suddenly appear. The child's mother, a woman named Lena, had gone on a blind date that evening, leaving her son with a neighbor who later fell asleep. When Lena didn't return, the boy panicked, slipped out into the storm, and wandered until he saw Aaron's porch light still on. Aaron recognized the address on the paper. Immediately, it was only a few miles away, but in weather like this, miles could be deadly. The roads were closing, visibility was nearly zero, and emergency services were overwhelmed. Common sense said to wait until morning. Responsibility said to keep the child safe and warm and let the professionals handle it. But something deeper, something raw and human, refused to let Aaron sit still. Aaron bundled the boy into his own coat, secured him in the back seat next to his daughter's old booster, and drove into the storm with white knuckles and a pounding heart. Snow battered the windshield like shards of glass, and every turn felt like a gamble. As he drove, Aaron thought about his own child asleep at home under the watch of a neighbor, about the promise he had made years ago never to risk his life recklessly. Yet the image of a woman missing in a blizzard, a mother who might be hurt or worse, pushed him forward. The house where Lena was supposed to have gone was dark and silent, its driveway already buried. There were no tire tracks, no footprints, only the oppressive quiet of snow swallowing everything. Aaron's breath fogged as he stepped out, calling into the night with no response. Panic crept in, cold and sharp. He checked his phone again, signal flickering uselessly. The boy sat in the car, face pressed to the window, hope draining with every passing second. Aaron searched the area, slipping on ice, shouting into the wind until his voice cracked. He followed a faint disturbance in the snow leading away from the house toward the main road, where visibility was even worse. Each step felt heavier than the last, doubt whispering that he was too late. Memories of losing his wife resurfaced, the helplessness of waiting for news that never brought relief. He pushed those thoughts away, refusing to let this story end the same way. Near the edge of the road, partially hidden behind a snowbank, he saw the outline of a car. It had slid off the road, its hazard lights long. Dead. The windshield shattered by ice. Inside, barely visible, was Lena, unconscious, blood matted in her hair, breath shallow but present. Relief hit Aaron so hard his knees nearly gave out. He broke the ice crusting the door, wrapped her in his coat, and dragged her toward the car, every muscle screaming, every second feeling stolen from fate itself. The drive to the hospital was a blur of sirens and spinning lights once Aaron finally flagged down a snowplow operator who called for help. The boy clutched his mother's hand the entire way, his fear slowly easing into fragile hope. Doctors moved fast, their efficiency a sharp contrast to the chaos outside. Lena had suffered a concussion and severe hypothermia, but she was alive. She would recover. Those words settled into Aaron's chest like warmth returning to frozen fingers. In the days that followed, the storm became a headline, a story shared briefly before the world moved on. But for Aaron, Lena, and her son, nothing was the same. Lena learned how close she had come to disappearing forever, and how a stranger had chosen to risk everything for someone he didn't know. Aaron returned to his routine, but something inside him had shifted. The loneliness that once defined his night softened, replaced by a quiet sense of connection he hadn't felt in years. Lena and her son visited often, bringing homemade meals, laughter filling spaces that had long been silent. The children played together, their bond forming effortlessly, as if they understood something the adults were still learning. Aaron found himself healing in ways he hadn't expected, discovering that courage didn't always roar, but sometimes whispered, asking only that you take one step forward into the storm. As weeks turned into months, the memory of that night remained vivid, not as a source of fear, but as proof of what kindness could do. Lena regained her strength, her gratitude evolving into friendship, and eventually into something deeper, something built on trust, forged under impossible circumstances. Aaron learned that opening his door that night had not just saved a life, but had reopened his own heart. If this story is touching your heart as deeply as it touched theirs, please take a moment right now to like, share, and subscribe, and let others find hope through stories like this. Winter eventually loosened its grip, snow melting into muddy reminders of what had been endured. Life moved forward, imperfect and beautiful. Aaron still worked long hours, still worried endlessly about the future, but he carried with him the knowledge that even in the darkest storms, ordinary people could become someone else's miracle. Before this story ends, we ask one special thing from you. Please leave a comment sharing whether you believe kindness can truly change lives, or if you've ever experienced help from a stranger when you needed it most. Your words might become someone else's light. As the seasons changed, the memory of a small boy standing in the snow never faded, because it was the moment a door opened, not just to warmth, but to second chances, reminding us all that sometimes the bravest thing we can do is answer when someone knocks, even when the storm is at its worst.